Yeah.
What stimulated my answer was I cheated and got something from Bona.
Huh?
I cheated and got something from Bhubaneswar's books.
I'm also cheating.
He was talking about how Guru has. He was talking about Shiva Tattva and alongside Guru Tattva, and how he can get. He can give both. He can give the cheating propensity is a technical name for that, and he can give a genuine propensity.
Vanchana kripa, right? You can get kripa, mercy, or you can get vanchana. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, he was talking about Shiva. In terms of Shiva, like
right.
The potency of you can get Maya, you can get big time Maya in terms of material energy,
right?
Or you can get introduced to Krishna,
right? What do you want?
Then somebody asked a question. He said that Guru has the same propensity to give cheating.
Right.
If you want position or pratishtha or power, he can give that.
Yeah.
But that's what the desire is. Or he can give you Krishna.
Right. Well, a bona fide guru, he can either give you vanchana or kripa. He can give you cheating or Krishna, depending on what you want. But one who's not a bona fide guru, all he can give you is cheating. Because he's cheating, and he's not in touch with Krishna, he's not authorized by Krishna, he's not a manifestation of the super soul. So therefore he can never give you kripa. So that personality, many people may say they're gurus, right? But my Gurudev used to say, what kind of guru? Do you want a guru sent by Krishna? Or do you want a guru sent by Maya? What kind of guru do you actually really want? Because you get what you deserve. So this is the first point. So if we get bona fide guru, then we have to learn that lesson. Okay, are you dictating to the guru? Or are you just submissively accepting Krishna manifesting through him? Right? So then you get vanchana or kripa. Right? But potentially you can get Krishna's mercy through bona fide guru. But if we're not really serious, then we may accept also persons saying that they're guru, but they may be a guru, my Guru used to say, a guru sent by Maya. And what that type of guru does is he just says, okay, what do you want to do? Right? He just flatters you, right? And just simply not speaking hard words, not trying to bring you under discipline, not trying to cut your attachments or your material desires, not speaking strong, cutting words, and chastising, punishing type of rectification program. Rather, he'll just speak very, very palatably and very flattering. You see? Because they want worship and they want money. They have some material desire. So many gurus are also there like that. So there has to be many gurus like that. Because not everybody 100% wants Krishna. That's actually very rare. Especially in the world of Maya. Especially in the Maya Jagat. So most people are not actually really serious. Prabhupada said that actually hardly anybody wants to go back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam purport, hardly anybody wants to go back to Godhead. So that means that all of those persons, they have to be cheated. Because you get what you deserve. So there has to be those types of cheating personalities out there. So-called gurus, sadhus, priests, ministers, all of these different people in different religions who are not bona fide. Prabhupada says, why do we say bona fide guru? Why don't we just say guru? Because guru means pure Vaishnava, Krishna's parampara, disciplic succession. We say bona fide guru because there's so many gurus out there that are not bona fide. So therefore we say bona fide guru to say one who is actually Krishna's man. So my Gurudev used to say, you're blind, you're just beginning spiritual life, you're groping in the darkness, you can't see your soul, you can't see the super soul, you can't see the soul of super soul within any other body, you're just beginning in spiritual life, you have no knowledge, no experience, you've never been on this path before. how you're going to figure that out on your own. How are you going to figure out who is Krishna's own man? I don't know who is Krishna's own man. When we're just beginning in spiritual, we don't know who is Krishna's own man. Everybody's saying they're Krishna's man, isn't it? Everybody is. So my Gurudev used to say, you have to pray to Krishna, that Krishna, I am deaf. I am blind. I have no experience. I have no intelligence. I have no karma. I have no jnana. I have no bhakti. I have nothing. And yet, in the middle of all of that, I still want to come to you. I want to surrender to you and I want to develop love for you. But I know I need help. So I need your own man. Krishna knows, my Gurudev used to say, Krishna knows who is his own man. We don't know who is Krishna's man. We're totally ignorant in that sense, especially in the beginning. But Krishna knows who is his own man. He knows who's representing him as it is, right? So my Gurudev said, you should pray to Krishna. Krishna, I want your man. I don't know who is your man. But I know I don't want anything else. I don't want anyone else. Because I'll be cheated. And I don't want to get cheated. I really want to come to you. So can you kindly please send me your own man and give me the intelligence and the faith to understand who that is? That prayer is required. So this idea that in ISKCON, you're telling some brand new bhakta who's totally ignorant, totally covered over, has no knowledge, no experience, completely contaminated, right? Go pick a guru. We're not, that's not the philosophy. We don't go pick a guru. Krishna picks the guru based on what we want, based on our desire. So rather we should say, let us become serious and sincere for wanting to understand Krishna and surrender to Krishna and develop love for Krishna. Then automatically He'll give you intelligence and faith to understand how and where He's manifesting. It's not that you just go out and you're just going to go pick some guru. How are you going to know who's an external manifestation of the super soul? How? Unless Krishna gives us that intelligence and faith, how we can understand external manifestation of the super soul? And then, how do you take His words and instructions as absolute unless Krishna gives us that intelligence and faith? So this is the situation. We are not the seers. We are to be seen. Unless Guru and Krishna reveal themselves to us, we can never see them. We have no ability or qualification to see them. So we are not the seers, we are to be seen. So if we are trying our best to be sincere and serious, then Guru and Krishna will see us. They'll reveal themselves to us, not other way around. We're being trained in the institution that we're the seers. And you have to go out and see who's a bona fide guru. Right? How we're going to see who has unflinching faith? Unless Krishna gives us intelligence and faith, how can we see that? How we're going to see who's properly motivated in what they're doing? Many people are speaking about Krishna, but they're not purely motivated. So it's not just that they're speaking about Krishna. What is their faith? What is their motivation for speaking about Krishna? How we're going to see that? How we're going to recognize and understand that unless we receive mercy and intelligence and faith from Krishna, from the Super Soul? Does that make sense? So we have eyes, we can see, but the sun, it has to be there in order for us to then be able to see. If we're just trying to depend on our eyes, thinking that we are the seers, no. We're dependent on the sun, and then if the sun is there, then we can see. We cannot act independently of that dependence. So we're dependent on Krishna to give us the intelligence and the faith to be able to then see and understand and recognize. And we're not depending on our minds, we're not depending on our senses, we're not depending on our so-called experience, because all of that is faulty, all of that is contaminated, all of that is still contaminated by material energy. So the instruments are not fit instruments to understand transcendentally. Therefore, Krishna said, when Arjuna wanted to see Krishna's universal form, then what did Krishna do? He said, I give you divine eyes. Now you can see it. So we are dependent on Krishna to give us divine eyes to understand it. And who does he give it to? One who wants him, seriously, sincerely. No, otherwise nobody can get that divine intelligence and eyes to be able to recognize Krishna in all of his manifestation. Only one who's very sincere, very serious, who wants to be devotee, who's not envious of Krishna, who considers Krishna his friend, his well-wisher, then he can understand it. Krishna will give him intelligence and faith to understand it. Otherwise, no one can understand it. That's why this person says, well, it seems very difficult, Prabhupada, to find who is a guru, who is a bona fide guru. Prabhupada said, that's not the problem. He said the problem is, Mr. O'Grady said, the problem is to find this spiritual master. And Prabhupada said, that is not the problem. The problem is whether you are sincere or not. So it's a question of our sincerity and seriousness. You had just said that, right? Whether or not we get the intelligence and faith to understand how and where Krishna is manifesting. And without understanding this tattva, you can't understand anything else. You won't accept anything else unless you understand this first. So Guru Tattva is like the hub of the wheel, and everything else goes out from Guru Tattva. So if you do not understand Guru Tattva properly, it simply means Krishna has not revealed himself to you in the form of Guru. And therefore you cannot take Krishna's words coming through the Guru as absolute. Therefore you'll question and doubt everything that he says. You'll think it's all relative. His opinion, his idea, his speculation. You won't see that actually this is Krishna speaking through the form of the spiritual master. That's why Gurudev says, I'm just a mere pipe. It's coming from the reservoir and just coming through the pipe. It's coming in one pipe and then going out the other pipe. So you're not taking any credit. Prabhupada says, my only credit is that, what I received, that's what I gave. Prabhupada gives the example of the peon, right? You get someone tells him, here's $5,000, give to Jayagopal, right? So I just take the 5,000 and then I just give to Jayagopal. I don't take anything out of it. I don't add anything into it, as it is. So Prabhupada says, the reason why I'm successful is I didn't add anything into it, and neither did I subtract anything out of it. What I heard, what I received, I simply just gave you that. So that means perfect knowledge coming from perfect person, understood and repeated perfectly, that makes your knowledge also perfect. This is parampara. So one has to hear from Krishna either directly or through his parampara, in order to receive perfect knowledge. And only Krishna gives us intelligence and faith how and where he's manifesting as a vehicle to give us that perfect knowledge. And unless Krishna gives us that intelligence and faith, we'll never hear Krishna. We'll never recognize how Krishna is present there within the form of the spiritual master. We'll never take those words as absolute. We'll not be able to make those words and instructions our life and our soul, because we'll think, this is just his opinion. This is his idea. This is what he's telling me now. Seems like the best thing right now. You'll see it all in a very relative way, not in an absolute way. So this is Paramatma Tattva, means Guru Tattva. And Krishna is helping inside and he's helping outside. If we don't understand how Krishna is helping us inside and outside, how can we progress in our spiritual life? That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're stressing on the point. If we're not able to hear internally, and we're not able to hear externally with unflinching faith in the form of the spiritual master, then how will we progress in our spiritual life? Then who are we listening to? If we're not listening to Krishna inside and out, then who and what are we listening to? Who else then is our master? Who else are we then putting faith in? Who else are we then relying upon for information? Who are we accepting as authority? Or what are we accepting as an authority which will guide us in all the decisions that we make in our life? So we're either accepting Guru and Krishna as the ultimate authority, as the ultimate reference point, or we're accepting our own mind, our own ideas, our own conceptions, our own desires. That means our minds are our gurus. We're having more faith in our own mind and our own sense perception than we are in Guru and Krishna. And that's a recipe for disaster, because that mind and senses is all material. Krishna says earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are my separated material energies. Those are all products of matter. They're all imperfect. They're all temporary. They're all within the jurisdiction of the material world. So they're not fit instruments to understand transcendentally. So we need a higher intelligence, a higher authority, in order to be guided to understand the absolute truth. Otherwise, our mind and senses will always cheat us. Isn't it the 4 defects of material consciousness, right? Imperfect sense perception, cheating propensity, prone to illusion, and what's the other one?
Mistakes.
And we're prone to make mistakes. So if we're groping, if we're depending on ourselves and our minds and intelligence, we're going to make mistakes, because it's an imperfect instrument, the imperfect instruments. So if we're depending on ourselves, we're going to make mistakes. We're groping in the darkness. We have we're following an imperfect process. Therefore, we have to get knowledge from Krishna, who can give us perfect knowledge of what to do, how to do, where to do, specifically. So how does Krishna give us that knowledge? He does it internally, Guru, Shastra, Atma Rupe. Atma Rupe means a super soul. So Krishna is giving us direct information on the platform of the super soul. Then that super soul is manifesting externally in the form of the spiritual master, who is speaking exactly the same thing that the super soul is speaking, and then referring to Shastra to give us faith how what they're saying is actually according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So that's how Krishna is helping us. If we cannot hear internally, and we cannot put faith how Krishna is manifesting externally, then how will we progress in our spiritual lives? That means we're just simply groping in the darkness. We're trying to figure it out ourselves. We're accepting ourselves, our mind, our intelligence as the ultimate authority. And that's an imperfect process, because we're using imperfect temporary material instruments. So we have to accept a higher authority. We need a higher reference point. We need a higher intelligence, and that can only come from Krishna manifesting internally and externally in the words and the instructions of bona fide spiritual master. Then we can understand absolutely what Krishna wants us to do now and in the future, and we can make those instructions our life and our soul, because we'll understand this is what Krishna wants me to do. Unless we have unflinching faith in the words and instructions of Krishna manifesting to the Guru, then when all the difficulties and the impediments and the obstacles and the tests come at us, immediately our mind and false ego will be like, oh, this is too messed up. This is too difficult. This is too strange. This is too painful. This is too much. and we'll give it up. Because our minds will convince us that if this is all right, and this is all auspicious, and this is all Krishna's arrangement, then why are all these things happening to me? You'll get on the mental platform. You see, your mental platform, false ego, everything will be agitated and disturbed. Your mind and senses will be disturbed. So that your reference point will then become completely disturbed. And you won't be able to be fixed in executing the instructions, because you'll start doubting what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because the ultimate reference point is not established. You follow my point? But when you have unflinching faith in the words of Krishna manifesting through bona fide Guru, then no matter what is happening, you can remain fixed in executing those instructions, because you know, no matter what, because Maya will try to trick you in all different ways. Internally, she'll try to confuse you, try to throw some doubt. Others will come and say, well, why are you doing like that? Look, you're suffering, you have this problem, you're this, how can this be Krishna's arrangement? So many people will come, and Maya will come and try to test and stop you in the execution of that service. So unless we have unflinching faith and an absolute understanding of exactly what Krishna wants us to do, we will not be able to stay fixed in executing those instructions through all of the tests and obstacles and difficulties, which surely will come as we're being tested on this spiritual path. And Krishna says that what I tell you to do, he says to Arjuna in 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita, if you just do that, that's transcendental. That will purify you. And everything else that you may do, even if it sounds spiritual, will cause karma bandhana, will bind you into the laws of karma. So it is not just an interesting thing or, a curious thing. One has to know. That's why Arjuna said to Krishna, he said, tell me specifically what you want me to do. Specifically. Because everything else will contaminate and create karma bandhana, will bind you into the laws of karma. So we have to know specifically what Krishna wants us to do, because without that understanding and without putting unflinching faith in those instructions, there's no way to purify your existence. There's no way to liberate your soul. There's no way to come to Krishna unless we understand what Krishna wants us to do. And otherwise everything will contaminate you and bind you and confuse you in the laws of karma. So it's not an interesting or curious thing to do. It's an essential thing to understand. So therefore Krishna tells the sincere soul internally and externally in the form of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master gives us general instructions meant for everybody, right? Chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles, and then specific instructions. So there's general instructions and specific instructions. In that way we can know specifically what Krishna wants us to do. Otherwise, we're trying to figure it out. We're groping in the dark, just like Arjuna, right? He's saying, okay, Prabhupada says he was skillfully trying to avoid fighting. Skillfully trying to avoid the fight. He said, I'll just be a sannyasi. I'll just go door to door, I'll beg alms. Huh? Well, what's sinful about that? Renouncing everything and just going door to door begging alms? What is sinful about that? What is sinful about it is that's not what Krishna wanted him to do. So it may seem pious, and it certainly is pious, but even piety is karmic. Isn't it? It also will bind you. So something may seem spiritual, it may seem pious, but the real question is that really what Krishna wants you to do? Are you 100% convinced that that's what Krishna wants you to do? Because otherwise everything else that you do will create karma bandhana. So in Arjuna's situation, being sannyasi and begging alms was sinful, was karmic. And fighting and killing his relatives, which is what Krishna wanted him to do for a good cause, for the right reason, was actually transcendental, was spiritual. You see, so it's not enough that it seems pious, it seems spiritual. We have to know specifically what Krishna wants us to do, and it has to be confirmed inside and outside in order for us to have unflinching faith and intelligence to be able to withstand all of the obstacles and impediments and tests which will surely come as we try to progress in our spiritual life. So how will Krishna give us specific instruction? He's doing it internally, but we're not really listening. Right? Sometimes Krishna is telling him, we're saying, oh, that was my mind. Right? Do like this. And so that was, Krishna said, pay obeisances. Right? Pay obeisances. Right? You said, that was just my mind. Right? Or another time, our stupid mind is telling us to do something, saying, oh, I'm convinced Krishna wants me to do this. This is Krishna. He's telling me to do this. So we make that mistake. We either think that it's Krishna and try to do it, or it's Krishna really telling us, and then we're saying, oh, I think that was just my mind. You asked this question yesterday, right? So how do you know whether it's really Krishna or whether it's the mind? Because Maya dresses herself up. You see, Maya was convincing Arjuna, yes, just become a Brahmin, just become a sannyasi, beg alms in the forest, door to door. Seems very spiritual. Seems very pious. But it was actually karmic and sinful because that's not what Krishna wanted. Krishna said, you're a Kshatriya and you're a Grihasta, and this is the duties and responsibilities of a Kshatriya and a Grihasta, and you do those duties and handle those responsibilities for me. And that is transcendental. And you're skillfully trying to avoid that fighting, that responsibility, in the name of religiosity or piety, is actually karmic and sinful. It will create karma bandhana. If we're pure enough, if we're advanced enough, Krishna will directly tell you what you want, what you have to do. Automatically. But if we're not so advanced, then we need help to understand it. And Krishna knows, I'm trying to tell him, and he can't hear me. I'm trying to tell him, and then he's listening to his stupid mind, and the mind saying, don't listen to what Krishna's saying. That wasn't Krishna, that was Maya. So Krishna knows, he's Paramatma Chaitanya Guru, said he cannot properly hear me or understand me properly because he's not purified enough, he's not experienced enough. So therefore I have to help him by coming out and manifesting in the form of the spiritual master. And that spiritual master then speaks exactly what the super soul is also saying to you. So when the spiritual master speaks what Krishna is already speaking to you, then Krishna as the super soul Paramatma will tell you that what he's saying is coming from me. I'm making him say what he's saying. I'm making him speak what he's speaking. That is me manifesting through the heart and the mouth of that devotee. Krishna will give you intelligence and faith in that to understand where is that coming from. And if it's not coming from Krishna, even someone may be saying it's coming from Krishna, then the super soul, the Paramatma within your own heart will never convince you. He'll never wake up, in one sense you could say like that. He won't give you faith and intelligence to accept it. So you'll be doubting. You'll be doubting it. You understand? That means there's not, when Krishna gives you intelligence and faith, there's no doubt. So when people say, well, I have this doubt, I'm still doubting, I don't know. I said, then be patient. Then just wait. Just keep praying to Nityananda, praying to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, praying to Krishna. Try to qualify yourself. And then if you qualify yourself in your sincere and serious desire, then, or in the due course of time, Krishna will give you intelligence and faith to understand how and where and through whom he's manifesting. Then we can get specific instruction to understand what is it that activity we should do, which will be transcendental. And what is that activity we shouldn't do, which will simply create karma bandhana. Balaram, you have a question?
Yeah, you told that according to Guru Tattva, only bona fide Guru only give Krishna. Nobody can give.
Right.
According to Guru Tattva, like this.
First understand who is Guru. Sakshat Tarittvena Samasta Shastra. The bona fide Guru is external manifestation of Krishna. So only Krishna can give Krishna. So only Krishna manifesting internally and externally can give himself. No one else can give Krishna because no one else has Krishna. If you don't have Krishna, how can you give Krishna? So only Krishna can give Krishna. So then it's how does Krishna give Krishna? How does Krishna give himself? That's what we're talking about. How he gives himself. How he gives, how he reveals himself and gives us intelligence. How to come to him. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru. By the mercy of that Guru, one gets Krishna. So it's Krishna giving Krishna. And Krishna only gives himself through his parampara. So then the question is, well, who is in the parampara? I asked my spiritual master, is anyone who's a disciple of their spiritual master, is that make him parampara? And Gurudev said, no. He must be Siddha, must be Nitya Siddha. He must be Siddha.